North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may soon be preparing for a second meeting with President Trump. This comes after Kim's two-day visit to China, where he informed the Chinese president he wants to see results that'll be welcomed by the international community. RT correspondent Ashlee Banks is following the story and joining us now live in the newsroom with more details. Ashlee?
That's right, Manila. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly told the Chinese president he wants to achieve results during a second summit with U.S. President Donald Trump. And he said he's committed to denuclearization and resolving the Korean Peninsula issue through dialogue and consultation. These comments come a day after Kim left Beijing. He was visiting the Chinese capital for 2 days. Many speculate Kim's trip to China, which marks his fourth in the past 10 months, is an effort to coordinate with Beijing ahead of a possible summit with Trump. This meeting also comes after U.S. and North Korean officials met in Vietnam to discuss where the summit would take place. Many saw Kim's trip as an effort to win Chinese support for a reduction of UN sanctions imposed over his nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs. The sanctions have significantly impacted North Korea's economy. However, China says it considers the tariff battle and North Korea's weapons programs to be separate. This comes as South Korea's president is urging North Korea to take firmer measures and ask the U.S. to reward them for doing so.
I believe those points would top the agenda in the second summit between the U.S. and North Korea. The first summit ended in an abstract agreement that it is hoped that there will be a more explicit agreement embodying specific measures between the two countries.
Kim has said if things don't improve and he doesn't see results after the second summit, North Korea might have to find a new way forward. Reporting in the newsroom, Ashlee Banks, RT.
Okay, to discuss this in further detail, we're being joined now by former UK MP George Galloway. All right, there he is. There's George. George, thanks for joining us today for this very important subject. Reports emerging today from South Korea that following Kim Jong-un's departure from this most recent trip to Beijing, that he has committed to a second summit with Trump. Chinese state media also reporting this. Your thoughts on the second meeting?
Well, let's take a minute, really, to take our hats off to Donald Trump. This is a very considerable achievement that no previous United States president has ever attained. The Koreas have been at war now for nearly 70 years. And it was Donald Trump that broke this logjam. And a great deal of credit goes to him personally. I doubt if John Bolton was very keen on this diplomacy in the beginning, at least. And so Trump has seen this through himself. It's a tribute to the two presidents of the two Koreas and the neighbors, Russia and China. It's a supreme example of how you can get more out of talking than you can out of fighting, sanctioning, and unrestrained verbal aggression. So this is very good news for the world. It's only just over a year ago, I was on all the airwaves talking about the real possibility of world war between the superpowers breaking out on the Korean Peninsula. And now they're looking for somewhere to have their second meeting. And I think it's right that you highlighted this latest trip to Beijing by Kim Jong-un, because I'm pretty sure that the ultimate solution of this is the same solution as China brokered with Hong Kong, namely one country, two systems, one Korea, two systems within the same joint federal state.
Yes, George, it was just like yesterday when we were seeing tweets about Little Rocket Man and Dotard, and now here we are on the precipice of a second summit. And Kim says that he wants to achieve results. Those are his words, results, on this next meeting on the subject of the nuclear standoff. What sort of results do you think he's referring to?
Well, some results have already been achieved. The diminution in the war-gaming posture of the United States is obviously a considerable gain for Korea. Korea demolishing its nuclear facilities, at least some of them, is another achievement. But we'll not be able to move on in this second summit if we don't see a reduction in sanctions against North Korea, because you can't just threaten the stick and expect results. You've got to have some carrots on the table. And I'm pretty sure that Trump, who styles himself as a deal maker, is very well aware of that. You can't have a deal unless there's something in it for both parties. And bringing North Korea in from the cold and moving further down a track that can lead to Korean unity, which I believe is yearned for, by the way, on both sides of the border, particularly by young Koreans, and it's a very young country. You can only do that if you keep moving forward. And so the obvious trade-off is a diminution in sanctions, an increase in the number of inspection and other destruction of weapons, of mass destruction sites. It's not actually, it doesn't really need Donald Trump to make that kind of deal. It's not rocket science, if you'll forgive the pun.
and George, I'm curious to know, from an international perspective, you're there in the UK. How does the UK view the Trump-Kim relationship, their upcoming meeting, their past meeting? Because, as you know, stateside, Trump was chided heavily by the press for taking such a meeting.
Yes, exactly. And you've got the Liberals, the formerly anti-war crowd, on the side of the most warlike parts of the United States body politic. It's a bizarre turnaround, no doubt. Similarly here in Britain, there are some people who will never accept anything that Donald Trump does as being good. I take the view that it doesn't matter if the cat is black or white as long as it catches mice. And so I'm hoping, and I think a lot of people will be, that the approach that Trump took here, bluster, threats, just as a prelude to sitting down and making a deal, is what he will also do in relation to other flashpoints in the world, like the Ukraine with Russia, like the Islamic Republic in Iran, like the now victorious Syrian Arab Republic. It's far better, as Mr. Churchill said, to jaw rather than war.
And George, lastly, while in Beijing, Kim reportedly cited his legitimate concerns that he had in the way of security guarantees. What do you think those guarantees might look like?
Well, I think if Russia and China guarantee the security of North Korea, and America guarantees the security of South Korea, there's no need for a return to war. And evidently, both Koreas don't want that. You see the real warmth, love actually, if you'll forgive that filmic pun, between these two Koreas. These presidents hug each other like they really mean it. And the meetings at the border, the reunification of families and so on, it's really almost a miracle. I must tell you, as someone who's watched this theater for 4 decades, I'm astounded at just how quickly war can be over if you want it to.
And perhaps the ends will justify the means. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today, George Galloway.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.